we're investigating things a little bit here. I've already drawn in the line y equals 2x add 1, and I've drawn another line that's perpendicular at right angles to the line y equals 2x plus 1. I could have drawn that anywhere along here, but I've just put it just for this one point here. So what I'm going to look at is I'm going to work out what the gradient is. Well, the gradient shouldn't be too difficult to find, because if I put a triangle on here, so that we get the change in y and the change in x, you should be able to see here that the change in y is -2 and the change in x is 4. So my initial gradient on this line here, the green line, is 2, and the gradient here is -2 over 4, which is -1/2. Here's my second example. Y equals negative 2/3 x add 4. So I'm going to have to put in another line at right angles. Hopefully I can put this in carefully, and there I formed my right angle. So I'll just draw that one in. So my new line is drawn in. I'm going to try and find a point where I can actually form a right angle triangle. Here we go. So it's going 3 up, so change in y is 3, change in x is 2, giving me y equals 3 over 2x plus, I'm not going to say what it is yet because I'm not quite sure from my picture, but the important thing here is the gradient is 3 over 2, and the other line that was perpendicular was -2/3. I'm going to have a look at that a bit more now. And Groucho's joined us. So you could be working on this yourselves, but our first gradient was 2, and then the line that was perpendicular to that was -1/2. Second gradient was -3 over 2, and its perpendicular gradient was 2/3. So now what you should do is make some of your own and see if you can find a link between M1 and M2, gradient 1 and gradient 2. Right then, I've added in some more, or one more, to see if what you did worked. I'm hoping that you've realised that when you multiply these two together, you get the answer of -1. If we look at this, -3 times 2 is -6, over 6 is -1. Here's another one. 5 times -8 is -40, over 40 is -1. Which brings us to a result that you should be able to quote. So, if two lines are perpendicular, then M1 times M2 is always -1. Now another way to think about that is to say if you've got one gradient that's 7/3 as M1, then M2, if you take the reciprocal of 7/3, it's 3/7. If this was positive, we're going to have to make this one negative. So that's the easy way very quickly. So you're saying take the reciprocal and make it the negative version of what you originally had. So if I take one more of those, let's say I've got M1 is -5/7. M2, take the reciprocal of -5/7, which is -7/5, but then make that the negative of the negative, which becomes 7/5.